In the small town of Maplewood, Illinois, the unthinkable occurred on a crisp autumn night in 2008. After leading his high school basketball team to a thrilling victory, 17-year-old Jamal Thompson vanished without a trace. His disappearance sent shockwaves through the community, leaving his family shattered and his friends grappling with unanswered questions. For 15 long years, Jamal's absence cast a pall over the lives of those who loved him. The hope that he might one day return dimmed, but it never fully extinguished. Then, in an unexpected twist, a seemingly innocuous event brought the case back to life. While cleaning out his attic, Jamal's former basketball coach Dave Marshall stumbled upon an old jacket, the very jacket Jamal wore that fateful night. This discovery ignited a flicker of hope and a renewed determination to uncover the truth behind Jamal's disappearance. For Jamal's mother, Lisa Thompson, the pain of losing her son had never faded. She spent years holding on to the memory of his laugh, the way he used to dribble a basketball with effortless precision, and his dreams of playing professionally. Each day without him felt like an eternity, but she never lost faith that someone, someday, would have the answers she so desperately sought. What happened that night? Where did he go? Lisa often wondered, her heart aching for closure. As the years passed, the investigation stagnated and the case grew cold. Local authorities, once fervent in their search for Jamal, began to shift their focus to other cases, leaving Lisa feeling abandoned. "It's like they forgot him," she would say, tears welling in her eyes. "But I never could. I won't stop until I know what happened." When Coach Marshall uncovered the jacket, he immediately felt a pang of guilt. Had he missed something back then? The jacket was more than just clothing. It was a piece of Jamal's life, and it became the catalyst for a renewed investigation. Coach Marshall reached out to Lisa, and together they began to dig into the past, determined to find the truth. But as they started their search, they encountered skepticism from law enforcement. The case had gone cold for a reason, they were told. "It's been 15 years. You have to let it go," was the common refrain from the officers who had grown weary of the case. However, Coach Marshall and Lisa were undeterred. This was not just a case to them. It was a loved one lost, and they were ready to fight for justice. The deeper they delved, the more they unearthed unsettling secrets hidden in the shadows of Maplewood. Friends who once seemed supportive began to appear evasive. Old acquaintances whispered of a night filled with reckless behavior and dark influences. It became clear that Jamal's disappearance was not just a random act. It was entwined with a web of complexities that hinted at a much darker truth. What had started as a quest to find a missing teenager evolved into an exploration of hidden lives and buried secrets. Jamal had dreams, friends, and a future that was abruptly taken from him, but the circumstances surrounding his disappearance hinted at a troubling reality. Could it be that those closest to him knew more than they had let on? Could the answers Lisa sought lie in the very people who had once claimed to care? With each clue they uncovered, the stakes grew higher. The investigation took them down dangerous paths, revealing a side of Maplewood that few knew existed. The truth was never simple, and it often danced just out of reach. As the first part of their journey unfolded, Lisa and Coach Marshall began to realize that the answers they sought might be buried deeper than they had anticipated. They were on the cusp of uncovering something monumental, but they also knew they were risking much more than just their own safety. The night of Jamal's disappearance remained a haunting mystery, but with the discovery of his jacket, a light began to shine on what had remained hidden for far too long. As they took their first steps into the investigation, Lisa held on to the hope that perhaps, after all these years, justice could finally be served. The weight of the past was heavy, but the desire for truth was even greater. Together, they would confront the darkness that had swallowed Jamal whole. Would they be able to unveil the secrets of that night, or would they find themselves entangled in a web of deceit that could lead them to a perilous conclusion? In this documentary series, we will explore the disappearance of Jamal Thompson, the long years of unanswered questions, and the shocking discoveries that emerged from the depths of an attic. As we follow Lisa and Coach Marshall on their journey for justice, we invite you to consider the complexities of life, loss, and the relentless pursuit of truth. What really happened that night? Who holds the key to the mystery? And most importantly, can the pain of the past finally give way to the promise of closure? Join us as we begin to unravel the chilling tale of a boy who vanished and the relentless fight for answers that followed. With the discovery of Jamal's jacket, Lisa and Coach Marshall found themselves on the precipice of a new reality. Each thread of the past began to pull at them, revealing a tapestry woven with pain and unanswered questions. The jacket, once a simple piece of clothing, now represented a beacon of hope, urging them to dig deeper into the shadows of that fateful night. They began their investigation by reaching out to anyone who had been present at the high school game, a gathering that had once seemed so innocent. Friends, teammates, and parents became the first leads in their search for the truth. Many memories were shared, but as they probed deeper, they encountered a chilling silence. It was clear that something was amiss. The atmosphere shifted as they touched upon the subject of Jamal's disappearance. Eyes darted, voices trembled, and a sense of unease enveloped the conversations. Determined to uncover the truth, Lisa and Coach Marshall decided to revisit the old school grounds. Under the dim light of dusk, they walked the hallways, where laughter once echoed, now haunted by the absence of a young life. They looked for clues, for anything that could shed light on Jamal's fate. It was during this exploration that they stumbled upon a yearbook, a tangible reminder of the lives intertwined with Jamal's. As they flipped through the pages, one name caught their attention: Kyle Anderson, a former teammate whose behavior had always seemed erratic. Convinced that Kyle held more information than he had shared, they arranged to meet him. The confrontation was fraught with tension. As they sat across from him in a local diner, Lisa's heart raced. Would he be willing to share what he knew? Would he deny any involvement and send them back into obscurity? Kyle's demeanor was defensive, his body language closed off. Yet the flicker in his eyes betrayed an underlying fear. As they pressed him with questions about the night of the game, Kyle hesitated, his face pale. The more they dug, the more it seemed like he was hiding something, perhaps a secret too dark to reveal. Lisa felt a knot tighten in her stomach. What was Kyle concealing? Was he a witness, or had he been involved in something far more sinister? But before they could push further, Kyle abruptly excused himself, claiming an urgent matter needed his attention. As he left, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that they had brushed against something deeper, an unsettling truth lurking just beneath the surface. Days turned into weeks as they sought to connect the dots. They unearthed fragments of Jamal's life, each piece painting a picture of a boy loved by many, yet entangled in a world that often overlooked the struggles of young black men. The fear of the unknown gripped Lisa tighter with each passing day. The deeper they dug, the more complex the web became. With the specter of Jamal's memory guiding them, they decided to reach out to others from that night: team members, coaches, even the referees. They hoped to gather enough pieces to craft a coherent narrative, one that might lead them to the truth. But as they delved into their investigation, they could feel the weight of resistance building around them. It was clear that someone wanted this story to remain buried. As they prepared for their next steps, a new lead emerged. A former friend of Kyle's reached out, claiming to have information that could change everything. However, the moment Lisa received the message, a wave of trepidation washed over her. Could this be a breakthrough, or was it merely another dead end? Their journey for answers was about to take a darker turn, one that would test their resolve and challenge everything they believed about the people they once trusted. The walls were closing in, and the truth was waiting, lurking just out of reach. Lisa felt a mix of hope and dread as she read the message from Kyle's former friend. The words were cryptic, hinting at secrets that had been buried for years, secrets that could reshape their understanding of that fateful night. She hesitated, glancing at the stack of old photographs on her desk, images of smiling faces, of laughter and camaraderie, now tainted by uncertainty. Determined to follow this lead, she arranged to meet the friend at a local cafe, a neutral ground where they could talk freely. As she arrived, the familiar smell of coffee mingled with the anxiety swirling in her chest. When she spotted him at a corner table, his face was a mask of apprehension. "Lisa, thanks for meeting me," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't know who else to turn to." "What do you know about that night?" she pressed, her heart racing. He glanced around, ensuring no one was listening. Kyle wasn't just hanging out with the team. There was something else going on, something serious. "He was scared, Lisa. He told me he was in over his head." Lisa's heart sank. "In over his head with what?" "Drugs. Gangs." I didn't want to believe it, but I heard him talk about people that weren't from our neighborhood. They were older, dangerous. I thought he was just trying to sound tough, you know? But now I wonder. As he spoke, Lisa felt the ground beneath her shift. The image of Kyle, the joyful boy she knew, was being replaced by a darker, more complex version of him. What had really happened that night? Who had been pulling the strings? Just as she was processing his revelation, her phone buzzed, a notification from a social media site. It was a post from one of Kyle's teammates, sharing a blurry photo taken during the game. In the background, Lisa spotted something, a figure lingering near the entrance, someone she recognized from the neighborhood. "Do you know him?" she asked, showing the image to her informant. He squinted, recognition dawning. "That's Malik. He was always around, but I thought he was just a fan. He had a reputation, though, a bad one." Her pulse quickened. Malik had been someone Kyle had mentioned in passing, a name entwined with whispers of trouble. "Do you know how to reach him?" Lisa inquired, her mind racing with possibilities. He shook his head. "He's been in and out of jail. If anyone knows what happened to Kyle, it could be him." Determined to follow this thread, Lisa left the cafe with a renewed sense of purpose. Yet the shadows of doubt loomed larger than ever. She felt the weight of her investigation bearing down on her, the stakes rising with each new piece of information. As she prepared to confront Malik, she steeled herself for the unexpected. The truth about Kyle's disappearance was weaving a dark tapestry, and she was now inextricably linked to its unraveling. But would the confrontation reveal the clarity she sought, or would it plunge her deeper into the shadows of a mystery that had remained unsolved for too long? With every step she took, she could feel the tension tightening around her, a storm brewing just beyond the horizon of revelation. Lisa approached the address she had found, a rundown apartment complex on the outskirts of town. The air was thick with apprehension as she climbed the creaking stairs to the second floor. She could hear muffled voices and the faint sound of music filtering through the thin walls. Each step felt heavier than the last, a mix of hope and dread coursing through her veins. When she reached the door, she hesitated. Memories of Kyle flooded her mind, his laughter, his dreams, the light that had been so abruptly extinguished. Taking a deep breath, she knocked. The sound echoed in the stillness, and her heart raced as she waited. Moments stretched into eternity before the door swung open. Malik stood before her, his expression unreadable. He was older, the years etched into his features, but something in his eyes flickered, a hint of recognition, perhaps. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice low and guarded. Lisa swallowed hard, her resolve hardening. "I'm Lisa, Kyle's sister. I need to talk to you about what happened to him." The door lingered ajar as Malik weighed her words. She could see the internal struggle play out on his face, the conflict of wanting to protect himself versus the weight of her plea. Finally, he stepped aside, allowing her to enter. The small apartment was cluttered, the remnants of a life marked by chaos. Lisa took a seat at a threadbare table, her eyes scanning the room for clues. Anything that might connect Malik to the past she was desperate to uncover. "Why now?" Malik asked, his voice a mix of curiosity and caution. "Why come to me after all these years?" "Because I found something," she replied, her voice steady. "Your name kept coming up in my search. I need to know what you know about that night." His gaze shifted, and for a moment, Lisa thought she saw a flicker of fear across his face. Malik hesitated, his fingers tapping nervously on the table. "You shouldn't be digging into this. It's dangerous." "Dangerous?" Lisa echoed, her frustration bubbling to the surface. "My brother is missing. I'm not afraid of a little danger if it means finding out the truth." Malik leaned back, the walls of his demeanor hardening. "You don't get it, do you? Some things are better left buried. Kyle wasn't just some kid at a game. He was tangled in a world you don't understand." Lisa felt the air thicken with tension. "What do you mean? What world?" As Malik's expression darkened, Lisa sensed she was on the verge of a revelation. But just as she prepared to press him further, his phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He glanced at the screen, his face paling as he read the message. "I can't talk right now," he said abruptly, standing up. "You should go." Panic surged within her as she realized he was about to shut her out. "Wait, please don't walk away, I need answers." But Malik was already shaking his head, retreating toward the door. "You're asking for trouble, Lisa. I won't be part of it." And with that, he opened the door, revealing a figure in the hallway shrouded in darkness. Lisa's heart sank as she recognized the silhouette. It was someone she never expected to see again, someone whose connection to Kyle was as complicated as the mystery surrounding his disappearance. The confrontation was no longer just between her and Malik. It had expanded into an unexpected web of intertwined lives and secrets. As the figure stepped forward, the truth that Lisa had sought for so long began to slip through her fingers, replaced by an even deeper uncertainty and the chilling realization that she had only just scratched the surface of a much darker truth. Lisa's breath caught in her throat as the figure emerged from the shadows, revealing a familiar yet unsettling face. It was Carla, Kyle's former girlfriend, whose relationship with him had always been cloaked in whispers and unanswered questions. The years had changed her, but the pain in her eyes remained, a haunting reminder of the past. "What are you doing here?" Lisa demanded, her heart racing. Carla took a hesitant step forward, her expression a mix of defiance and vulnerability. "I came to see Malik," she said quietly, but it was clear she had come for more than just a casual visit. Lisa felt a rush of anger and confusion. "How you think you can just show up after all this time? Kyle is missing and you might have answers." Carla flinched at the mention of Kyle's name, the weight of it heavy in the air between them. "I didn't know where he was going that night. None of us did. But I've thought about it every single day." Lisa's instincts flared. Here was a woman who had once shared a life with Kyle, yet she had distanced herself from the investigation. Then why now? Why after 15 years? Carla hesitated, glancing at Malik, who stood quietly, his posture tense and defensive. "I found something," she finally confessed, her voice trembling. "Something that might explain what happened." The words struck Lisa like a bolt of lightning, igniting a flicker of hope amidst the storm of uncertainty. "What do you mean? What did you find?" Carla took a deep breath, her eyes darting between Lisa and Malik. "A letter. It was hidden in Kyle's things. I thought it was just old notes, but when I read it, I knew it was important." Lisa felt the ground beneath her shift. "What did the letter say?" "I can't say here," Carla replied, glancing back toward the door as if fearing eavesdroppers. It's about something he was involved in, something dangerous." Malik's voice cut through the tension. "This is ridiculous. You can't just drop a bomb like that and expect us to follow you blindly." Lisa shot him a glare, but deep down she understood his frustration. They had been navigating a labyrinth of dead ends and false leads for years, yet Carla's revelation felt like a key, a possible way forward. "Where is the letter?" Lisa pressed, her determination unwavering. Carla looked back at her, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I'll show you, but you have to promise me that you'll be careful. This could put you in danger." As she spoke, Lisa noticed the unease in Carla's voice. The fear was palpable, and Lisa realized that whatever lay ahead was far more complex than she had anticipated. "Please, just take me to it," Lisa urged, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. "We need to know the truth." Carla nodded, her resolve strengthening. "Meet me tomorrow at the old park where we used to hang out. But you have to come alone. This is bigger than all of us." As the two women exchanged a tense look, Lisa felt the weight of the moment settle around her. The investigation was no longer just about finding Kyle. It was becoming a treacherous journey into a past riddled with secrets and a future fraught with danger. With the promise of answers on the horizon, Lisa knew she was on the brink of a deeper revelation, a truth that could shatter everything she thought she knew. As she watched Carla retreat into the night, Lisa's mind raced with possibilities, and the looming shadow of uncertainty grew ever darker. The next day arrived with a heavy sense of foreboding. Lisa stood at the edge of the old park, the familiar sounds of children playing mingling with her anxious thoughts. She scanned the area, her heart racing as she waited for Carla to appear. Each passing moment felt like an eternity, and doubt crept into her mind. Would Carla show up? Would this lead to answers or more confusion? Finally, she spotted Carla emerging from the trees, her expression a mix of determination and fear. "You came," Carla said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I wasn't sure if you would." "I have to know what you found," Lisa replied, her voice steady despite the turmoil within her. "What's going on?" Carla took a deep breath, glancing around, as if she expected someone to be watching. "There are things you don't understand about that night, Lisa. Things that have been kept hidden for years. But if we're going to uncover the truth, you need to be prepared for what we might find." Lisa nodded, her mind racing with questions. What could be so significant that it had remained buried for so long? Carla motioned for Lisa to follow her deeper into the park, away from prying eyes. They reached a secluded spot, where the trees stood tall and the sunlight barely filtered through. "Here," Carla paused, her gaze growing serious. "I found something in my brother's belongings, something that might connect to Kyle." With trembling hands, Carla revealed a small, worn notebook. It belonged to him. He wrote about things he saw, things that happened around the time Kyle disappeared. "It's all in here." Lisa took the notebook, her fingers brushing over the faded pages. Inside, the words were cryptic, written in a hurried scrawl, mentioning names and places Lisa did not recognize. "What does this mean?" she asked, her heart pounding as she flipped through the pages. "Some of the names are familiar," Carla said. "People from our school, people who were around that night. I think there was more going on than we realized. There were rumors of a secret party, something that got out of hand." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "A party? You think Kyle was—" "I don't know," Carla interrupted, her voice quaking. "But I think we need to dig deeper. There are people who know what happened, but they've been too scared to talk." As they discussed the implications of the notebook, an unsettling realization settled in. Lisa was no longer just an investigator. She was stepping into a world fraught with danger and deceit. The more they uncovered, the clearer it became that the truth surrounding Kyle's disappearance was tangled in lies, secrets, and perhaps even a cover-up. Suddenly, Carla's phone buzzed, breaking the tension. She glanced at the screen, her face paling. "It's my brother," she whispered urgently. "I have to take this." As Carla stepped away to answer the call, Lisa's gaze fell back to the notebook. The weight of unanswered questions pressed heavily upon her. The mention of a party, the names scribbled within, all hinted at a web of connections that could lead them closer to the truth, or deeper into peril. When Carla returned, her expression was grave. "We need to meet someone," she said, urgency lacing her words. "But it's risky. He's been watching us." "Who?" Lisa pressed, her heart racing at the thought of being pursued. "A former student," Carla replied. "He knows more than he's letting on. If we can get to him, we might finally piece together what happened that night." With the notebook as their guide and a dangerous lead in their sights, Lisa felt the thrill of the investigation surge through her veins. But along with that thrill came a stark realization. The closer they got to the truth, the more perilous their journey would become. As they prepared to follow this new lead, the shadows around them seemed to thicken, a reminder that the secrets of the past were not ready to be unearthed without a fight. The confrontation that awaited them loomed large, promising revelations that would change everything. Lisa and Carla drove through the dimly lit streets, the weight of the night pressing against them like a shroud. Every corner felt laden with uncertainty, a reminder of the danger they were courting. Carla's grip on the steering wheel tightened, her knuckles white against the dark leather. "What if he doesn't want to talk?" Lisa asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as though the darkness itself might overhear her fears. "He will," Carla replied, a fierce determination igniting her tone. "He has to. He was there that night. He knows something." As they approached the run-down apartment complex where the former student lived, a sense of foreboding enveloped them. The building loomed ahead, its windows dark and unwelcoming. Lisa felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Every instinct told her to turn back, but she couldn't, not after all this time. Climbing the worn staircase, each step echoed like a countdown to an uncertain fate. They reached the door marked with peeling paint, and Carla knocked firmly. Silence hung in the air until the door creaked open, revealing a young man whose guarded expression betrayed the turmoil within. "Are you—" he started, hesitating as he sized them up. "Lisa, this is Carla," Lisa introduced herself, forcing a calm she did not feel. "We need to talk." The young man's eyes darted to the hallway, fear flickering in his gaze. "I can't. Please," Carla interrupted, desperation lacing her voice. "It's about the night of the game. We think you know something." The door widened slightly, and he stepped aside, allowing them in. The cramped apartment was dimly lit, cluttered with remnants of a life half-lived. Lisa's heart raced as they settled onto worn chairs, the air thick with unspoken truths. "I didn't want to get involved," he said, his voice trembling. "I thought it was better to stay quiet." "Better for whom?" Lisa pressed, leaning forward. "Chris is missing. His family deserves answers." His gaze dropped to the floor, shame washing over him. "I saw things. I heard things. But no one believed me then. I didn't want to put myself at risk." "What did you hear?" Carla urged, her eyes narrowing with intensity. "Things about the party, about Chris," he finally admitted, his voice barely a whisper. "I know he was in trouble. There were people there, bad people. I thought he could handle it, but he didn't," Lisa finished, her breath hitching as the pieces began to fall into place. "What happened at that party?" Before he could respond, a loud crash echoed from the hallway, causing all three to jump. The young man's face drained of color. "We need to go, now." "Why? What's happening?" Lisa's pulse quickened, her instincts screaming at her to flee. "Someone's here," he said, panic setting in. "They're looking for me. They must know you're here." In that moment, the door burst open, and a figure stood silhouetted against the dim light, a menacing presence that sent chills coursing through Lisa. She could feel the tension in the room spike, a dangerous energy crackling in the air. "Run!" the young man shouted, shoving them toward the back exit as the figure stepped further inside, a sinister smile creeping across their face. Lisa's heart raced as they bolted toward freedom, the reality of what they had uncovered crashing down around them. The truth was closer than ever, but it came with a price. The shadows were no longer just memories, they were the harbingers of danger, and now they were being hunted. As they fled into the night, Lisa felt the weight of the past pressing heavily upon her. The confrontation was no longer a distant promise, but an imminent threat. They had uncovered a secret that could cost them everything, and the quest for truth had transformed into a battle for survival. The darkness enveloped Lisa and the young man as they sprinted down the narrow alleyway, their breaths quickening with each step. The echoes of their footsteps bounced off the brick walls, a stark reminder of the peril they faced. Behind them, the ominous sound of footsteps trailed, relentless and unforgiving. They turned a corner, heartbeats pounding in their ears, desperate to put distance between themselves and the figure in pursuit. Lisa's mind raced with questions, the weight of the revelation they had stumbled upon crushing her. Who was the man who had appeared at the door? How deep did the deception run? As they reached the end of the alley, a glimmer of hope emerged in the form of a dimly lit street. Lisa could see cars passing by, people going about their lives, unaware of the storm brewing just out of sight. They crossed the street in a burst of adrenaline, slipping into the cover of a nearby convenience store. Inside, the fluorescent lights buzzed, illuminating the shelves stocked with everyday items. Lisa quickly scanned the room for a safe place to regroup, her heart still racing. The clerk at the register looked up, concern etched on his face, but Lisa couldn't stop to explain. They needed a plan. "Do you have your phone?" she whispered urgently to the young man, who nodded, retrieving it from his pocket. "Let's call the police," he suggested, but hesitation clouded his features. They both knew that the authorities had been skeptical of Lisa's quest for answers in the past. Would they take her seriously now, or dismiss her as just another frantic family member clinging to a ghost? "No," Lisa replied, her voice steady but low. "Not yet. We need to figure out what we're dealing with first. If we go to them without proof, we might lose everything." With a resolve that surprised even her, she took a deep breath and pulled out her own phone. She opened a text message thread with her sister, the only family member who had believed in her all along. "I found something," she typed quickly, glancing toward the entrance. "I'm in trouble. I need your help." As she hit send, her mind raced through the possibilities. The jacket found in the attic had opened a door, but what lay beyond it was a labyrinth of secrets, half-truths, and dangers lurking in every corner. "Do you think he knows anything?" Lisa asked, glancing at the young man. "Maybe. He acted like he was scared," he replied. "But why was he hiding?" Before Lisa could respond, a loud crash echoed from the alleyway outside, followed by a shout. The figure was close. They had to move. "Back door," Lisa urged, leading the way to the rear of the store. They slipped through the exit and into the night, the cool air hitting them like a wave. "What now?" he asked, urgency lacing his voice. Lisa paused, her mind racing. "We need to find out who that man was, and what he knows about the coach, about the jacket. There has to be a reason he was looking for you." As they darted into the shadows, the fog of uncertainty hung thick in the air. Lisa knew that the answers they sought would not come without a price. The truth was an elusive spectre, and every clue they uncovered could lead them deeper into a darkness they might not escape. With every step, they moved closer to a confrontation that would shatter the fragile veil of safety they had left. The night was far from over, and the stakes were rising. The hunter was now hunting them, and the truth, once a beacon of hope, now loomed as a terrifying force of reckoning. As Lisa and her companion maneuvered through the tangled maze of alleys, their hearts pounded in synchrony with the echoes of their footsteps. Fear clawed at their throats, but an undeniable determination fueled their flight. They needed answers, and they needed them now. The unexpected encounter with the shadowy figure outside the store had ignited a fire within Lisa. The mention of the jacket, the very same jacket that belonged to her missing sister, brought a rush of memories that twisted her gut. It was a detail she had almost forgotten in the years of searching and grieving, yet now it seemed pivotal. "We should split up," she suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll check the nearby streets. You look around here for any signs of him." Her companion hesitated, but the urgency in her voice compelled him to nod. They parted ways, each consumed by the hope that this night might finally yield the answers they had long sought. Minutes felt like hours as Lisa scoured the dimly lit streets, her mind racing through every possible scenario. Then, just as her resolve began to waver, she stumbled upon something. A discarded business card partially hidden beneath a trash can. The name printed on it sent a shiver down her spine. Jack Morris, private investigator. Could this be the breakthrough she had been praying for? She quickly pocketed the card and continued her search. The thrill of potential discovery coursed through her veins, but with it came a gnawing anxiety. Why would a private investigator be involved in her sister's case? Returning to the meeting point, Lisa found her companion waiting, a look of urgency etched on his face. "I saw him," he said, breathless. "The man from the alley. He was talking to someone in a car." Lisa's heart raced as she asked, "Did you get a plate number?" "Just the first few letters, but—" He hesitated, the weight of what he had witnessed heavy on his shoulders. "They were talking about someone named Cora." The name struck her like a bolt of lightning. Cora had been a close friend of her sister's, someone who had mysteriously vanished shortly after the disappearance. Why was she being brought up now? It was a thread that could unravel everything. As they stood in the shadows, Lisa felt the ground beneath her shift. The investigation had taken a turn she had never expected. The pieces were not just about her sister anymore. They were entangled in a web of secrets involving Cora, the coach, and now this private investigator. With the business card burning a hole in her pocket, Lisa knew they needed to reach out to Jack Morris, but the nagging doubt loomed larger than ever. What if the truth was darker than she dared to imagine? What if her sister's disappearance was just the tip of an even more sinister iceberg? As they hurried to find a phone, Lisa could not shake the feeling that they were being watched. The hunter had become the hunted, and the stakes had escalated beyond her wildest fears. The darkness surrounding the truth was closing in, and each revelation only deepened the mystery. In their pursuit of clarity, they had unwittingly stepped into a realm of danger, and she could only hope the price they would pay for the truth wouldn't be too high. Lisa's hands trembled as she dialed the number on the business card. Each ring felt like a countdown, the tension building in her chest with every echoing tone. What would Jack Morris know? Would he help, or would he dismiss her as just another family member clinging to hope? "Hello? This is Jack." The voice on the other end was calm, almost detached. "Mr. Morris, this is Lisa. I think I have information about my sister Cora's disappearance." There was a brief pause, then a shift in his tone. "I'm listening." Lisa recounted the recent discoveries, the jacket, the whispers of secrets long buried. Jack's interest peaked, but the weight of skepticism still lingered in his voice. "You know, Lisa, there are many rumors that swirl around these cases. I need to understand why you believe this connects to Cora." As she spoke, Lisa felt the urgency of her words, weaving a narrative of hope amidst the despair. She detailed the link between Cora and the coach, the strange behavior she had witnessed, and the unsettling feeling that had now taken root in her gut. "Meet me at the diner on Maple Street tomorrow at noon," Jack instructed. "I'll need to assess everything you've found, but be careful. There are people who don't want the past to resurface." As she hung up, a chill ran down her spine. Who were these people, and what lengths would they go to keep their secrets hidden? The next day, Lisa arrived early, the clattering of dishes and the aroma of coffee mingling with her anxiety. The diner buzzed with life, but her focus was singular. She scanned the room, searching for any sign of Jack. When he finally entered, his demeanor was serious, each step deliberate. After exchanging pleasantries, Lisa laid out the evidence before him: the jacket, the faded photographs, and the unsettling details of Cora's life. Jack listened intently, jotting down notes, but Lisa could see the storm of contemplation brewing behind his composed exterior. "Lisa," he finally said, his voice low, "what you're describing isn't just a simple missing person case. This could lead us down a very dark path." As they spoke, the conversation turned to the coach. Jack revealed an unsettling history, whispers of misconduct, accusations that had never fully been investigated. He was known for his temper and had a reputation in the community. People feared him, and many stayed silent. Lisa's heart raced. What if the man she had once idolized as a mentor for Cora held the key to everything? But before she could voice her thoughts, Jack's phone buzzed, a text flashing on the screen. His expression shifted, a fleeting shadow crossing his face. "Something's come up," he said, standing abruptly. "I need to check on this. Keep digging, but do not confront anyone. You're not prepared for what you might find." As he left, Lisa felt a mix of apprehension and determination. She had come too far to turn back now. Alone in the diner, she replayed their conversation, piecing together fragments of the past, haunted by the idea that Cora's life may have been entwined with a darker reality than she could bear to imagine. Suddenly, a figure caught her eye, a man in a dark coat lingering outside, watching her through the window. A chill crawled up her spine. Lisa knew she was not alone in her search for the truth, and the danger was becoming all too real. With a deep breath, she stood to leave, the weight of the investigation heavy upon her. She had to find out who this man was. Was he a threat or a potential ally in her quest for the truth? The answers lay ahead, obscured in shadows and silence. But Lisa was ready to confront whatever darkness awaited her, even if it meant unraveling the fabric of everything she thought she knew. Lisa stepped out of the diner, the door swinging shut behind her, with a soft chime that felt like a warning bell. The man in the dark coat was still there, his posture rigid, as if he had been waiting for her to emerge. She hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest. Was he here to help, or was he part of the ominous web surrounding Cora's disappearance? As she approached, the man shifted, his eyes narrowing. "You're looking for answers," he stated flatly, a hint of urgency in his voice. "Who are you?" Lisa demanded, her voice steadier than she felt. "I know what happened to Cora," he replied, glancing around as if the walls had ears. "But it's not safe to talk here." Lisa's pulse quickened. This was the break she had been searching for, but caution urged her to tread carefully. "Where can we go?" "Follow me," he said, his tone brokering no argument. With a furtive glance over his shoulder, he turned and walked briskly down the street. They arrived at a small, unassuming house a few blocks away. It was cluttered, the windows partially obscured by blinds that looked like they hadn't been opened in years. Lisa's mind raced with questions, but she pushed them aside, following him inside. As the door closed behind her, she noticed the walls were adorned with photos, pictures of Cora, her friends, and family at various events. The man gestured to a chair, his demeanor shifting to a somber intensity. "I was Cora's friend. We had plans. Things changed." "Changed how?" Lisa probed, her eyes narrowing. "There were people involved, people who wanted to keep certain things hidden. You found her jacket, didn't you?" he asked, his gaze penetrating. "Yes, in the attic of her old coach. But I need more than that. I need to know what really happened." The man's expression hardened, and for a moment he looked away, grappling with the weight of his next words. "Cora got mixed up in something dangerous, something that went beyond just high school drama. I tried to protect her, but it was too late." Lisa felt a rush of urgency. "You have to tell me everything. There are people who might still be involved." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "There's a group. They were using Cora, and when she tried to escape, they made sure she wouldn't." As he spoke, Lisa's mind raced with possibilities. Was this the dark secret she had feared? A hidden life that Cora was leading, one that ultimately led to her demise? The thought twisted in her stomach. "Who are they?" she pressed, her voice a whisper. "I can't say yet. You need to be careful, they're watching. If they find out you're digging, they won't hesitate to silence you," he warned, glancing nervously at the door. Lisa's determination surged. She had come too far to back down now, but the stakes were rising. She needed to protect herself, as well as the truth she was hunting for. "I need evidence. I need to know exactly who I'm dealing with." "You'll find it," he said, his voice resolute. "But tread lightly. The closer you get, the more dangerous it becomes." With that, he stood up abruptly, scanning the street outside. "I can't stay any longer. Just remember, trust no one." As he slipped out the door, Lisa felt the gravity of his warning settle over her. She was entering a realm of shadows, and every step forward could lead her deeper into peril. But there was no turning back. The truth of Cora's fate was waiting, hidden beneath layers of deceit, and she was determined to uncover it. With renewed resolve, Lisa set out to explore the tangled web of Cora's past, knowing that every revelation could bring her closer to a confrontation that might finally bring justice or expose a darkness she could never have anticipated. Lisa spent the next few days piecing together the fragments of Cora's life that had emerged from the shadows. She meticulously reviewed old records, searching for anything that could connect her to the mysterious figures she had encountered. The jacket had led her down a twisted path, but now she needed to connect the dots. One afternoon, she found herself at the public library, sifting through yearbooks and newspaper clippings. Each photograph and article brought Cora's vibrant spirit back to life, but it also deepened the sorrow of her absence. As Lisa flipped through the pages, she stumbled upon a small article buried within the archives. It detailed a series of incidents at the high school, a string of fights, rumored drug deals, and a sudden spike in gang-related activities. The names mentioned in the article sent chills down her spine. One name stood out, Jamal Sanders, a local with a notorious reputation. He had once been a star player on the same team as Cora, but after graduation, he fell into a world of crime. Lisa's instincts told her that Jamal might know more than he let on. Determined, she sought out Jamal's last known address. As she drove through the once familiar neighborhoods, memories of her childhood flooded back. Each street corner echoed with laughter and the promise of a bright future. But the transformation of the area was stark. What was once a community filled with hope had become overshadowed by neglect. When she arrived at the dilapidated building where Jamal lived, a sense of dread settled over her. The peeling paint and broken windows told stories of despair. Lisa knocked hesitantly. After a long pause, A voice called out from within, demanding to know who it was. "I'm looking for Jamal. I need to ask him some questions about Cora," Lisa replied, her voice steady, despite the anxiety coursing through her. The door creaked open, revealing a man whose once athletic build had succumbed to the ravages of a hard life. Jamal eyed her warily. "Cora? Why do you want to know about her?" "I think you might know something that could help me find out what happened to her," Lisa pressed, feeling the weight of his gaze. Jamal hesitated, the tension thick in the air. "I'm not looking to get involved in that mess again. You don't know what you're asking for." Frustration mounted within Lisa. "I'm not here to hurt you, I just want the truth. Cora deserves that, and so do I." At that moment, Jamal's expression shifted. The defensiveness melted away, replaced by a flicker of something deeper, fear. "You don't understand. Sometimes it's better to leave things buried. There are people who don't like loose ends." Lisa's heart raced. "What do you mean? Are you saying that someone is still out there? Someone who was involved in her disappearance?" He stepped back, closing the door slightly. "You have no idea what you're getting into. They won't just let you walk away." With those words hanging in the air, Jamal shut the door, leaving Lisa standing in stunned silence. The implication of his warning sent shivers down her spine. She was on the verge of uncovering something dark and dangerous, but the path ahead seemed fraught with peril. As she walked back to her car, Lisa replayed the interaction in her mind. The truth was within her grasp, yet it was guarded by shadows that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. She had to find a way to confront Jamal again, to coax out the secrets he held. But the thought of what those secrets could entail filled her with dread. The clock was ticking, and each passing moment only deepened the mystery surrounding Cora's fate. Lisa felt an urgent need to act before it was too late, but she also knew the danger was escalating. What she was about to uncover could change everything, and she was no longer just seeking answers. She was stepping into a world of peril, where trust was a fragile illusion. Lisa spent the next few days consumed by uncertainty and fear. The shadow of Jamal's warning lingered in her mind, making her cautious and contemplative, but the desire for closure, for the truth about Cora, propelled her forward. She began to revisit the details of Cora's disappearance, poring over old photographs and articles, searching for anything that might connect the dots. As she sifted through the past, she discovered a name, Travis Reynolds, a former teammate of Cora's. He had been one of the last people seen with her on that fateful night, but his alibi had always seemed too perfect, too rehearsed. Lisa wondered if he might know more than he had ever disclosed. With renewed determination, Lisa decided to reach out to Travis. The thought of confronting him was daunting. Memories of Cora's vibrant laughter and her absence weighed heavily on her heart. But Lisa understood that she needed answers. After gathering her thoughts, she dialed Travis's number, her heart racing as she awaited a response. "Hello?" a hesitant voice answered. "Travis, it's Lisa, Cora's friend. I need to talk to you about that night." There was a brief silence on the other end before he responded. I don't think there's anything I can help with." "Please, just hear me out," Lisa urged, her voice steady despite the nerves churning within her. "I found something that connects to Cora. I think it's important." She could sense his reluctance the way he shifted in his seat, and she pressed on. "I believe there's more to the story than what we were told. I need your side of it." Finally, after a long pause, he agreed to meet her. Lisa felt a mix of relief and anxiety wash over her. As the meeting approached, visions of confrontations played in her mind. Would Travis break down and reveal what he knew? Or would he remain tight-lipped, protecting whatever secrets were buried with Cora? The day of the meeting arrived, and Lisa chose a quiet cafe, a neutral ground. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation as she waited for Travis. When he walked in, his demeanor was cautious. He looked around as if assessing the risk of this encounter. "Thanks for coming," Lisa began, her eyes locked on his. "I really think we need to talk about Cora." Travis shifted uneasily in his chair, his gaze darting away from her. "Look, I don't want to stir up old memories." "Memories," Lisa repeated, her voice calm but firm. "This is about the truth, Travis. Cora deserves that. We all do. His expression hardened, revealing a glimpse of the boy who had once been Cora's friend. You don't know what you're asking for. Then tell me what happened, Lisa pressed, leaning in slightly. You were there. I need you to be honest with me. For a moment, a storm of emotions flickered across Travis's face. Fear, guilt, and something darker. He glanced around the cafe as if he feared being overheard, before finally meeting Lisa's gaze. I can't just talk about it. You have no idea what you're getting into. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Those words echoed Jamal's warning. There was an undercurrent of fear in Travis's tone, something that hinted at a deeper conspiracy. Why? Lisa challenged, her heart racing. What are you afraid of? Travis hesitated, and in that pause, the weight of the truth hung heavily in the air. She could feel the tension crackling between them. I didn't want any of this to happen, he finally confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. But Cora wasn't who you think she was. She was involved in something. Something dangerous. The revelation hung ominously in the air, and Lisa's mind raced as she tried to process his words. What do you mean? What was she involved in? Before Travis could respond, the door to the cafe swung open with a sudden force, and Lisa turned to see a group of men enter. Their presence was imposing, and they scanned the room with predatory eyes, settling on Lisa and Travis with unsettling intensity. Lisa's heart dropped as she recognized the danger that had arrived. The walls of the cafe felt as if they were closing in, and a sense of dread washed over her. Travis's face blanched as he stood abruptly, backing away from the table. We need to go, he muttered, panic rising in his voice. But before they could react, one of the men approached, a menacing smile on his face, and Lisa realized they were stepping into a confrontation that could unravel everything. Lisa's heart raced as the man leaned in, his voice low and threatening. You shouldn't be digging into things that don't concern you, he warned, the chill in his tone slicing through the air. Travis glanced at Lisa, his eyes wide with fear. We're just having a conversation, he stammered. But his attempt at defiance was weak. The man's smile widened, revealing a confidence that spoke of hidden power. Conversations can lead to trouble, you know, the man said, straightening up and taking a step back, but not before casting a warning glance at Travis. You want to stay out of this. Trust me. As the men moved deeper into the cafe, Lisa felt a wave of urgency wash over her. She had come too far to back down now. The jacket, the new leads, and the mysteries surrounding Cora's disappearance were all connected to something much larger. What did you mean when you said Cora was involved in something dangerous? Lisa pressed, turning back to Travis. There was a pleading look in her eyes, begging for clarity amidst the chaos. Travis swallowed hard, his eyes darting toward the group of men, clearly torn between fear and the need to reveal the truth. She was being pulled into a world she didn't understand. I thought I could protect her, but I was too late. She got mixed up with people who were dealing in things that could destroy her. Lisa felt a cold dread settle in her gut. What kind of things? Drugs. Gangs. I didn't want to believe it, but she was in over her head, he admitted, his voice trembling. The weight of his words hung heavy in the air as Lisa processed this shocking revelation. Cora's disappearance was not just a random act of violence. It was tied to a darker reality that had been lurking beneath the surface. Just as Lisa began to form a plan, the men at the cafe stood, their conversation growing more boisterous, yet their eyes flickered toward her and Travis. It was clear they were aware of the tension, and Lisa felt a surge of determination. We need to get out of here, she whispered urgently to Travis. As they rose from the table, Lisa's mind raced. She needed more information about Cora's life before that fateful night. Was there anyone else who could help them piece together what had happened? Stepping out into the cool night air, Lisa pulled Travis aside, away from prying eyes. We need to find out who Cora was involved with. We need to talk to her friends from high school, anyone who might know something. Travis hesitated, his eyes flickering with doubt. What if they're still involved? What if they come after us? But Lisa shook her head, her resolve hardening. If we don't do this, we may never find out what really happened. We have to take that risk. With a nod, Travis acquiesced, fear still evident in his features but tempered by a glimmer of hope. Their first stop would be Cora's childhood friend, someone who had distanced herself from the past. Lisa had to know if she could shed light on the truth. As they drove through the darkened streets, the weight of their quest hung heavy, the shadows seeming to whisper secrets of the past. But little did they know. Their pursuit of answers would soon lead them to a confrontation that could shatter everything they believed, revealing a truth more complex and sinister than either of them could ever have imagined. The car's headlights illuminated the modest home of Cora's childhood friend, nestled in a quiet neighborhood. Lisa took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. They stepped onto the porch, their footsteps echoing in the stillness of the night. With every knock on the door, anxiety coiled in Lisa's stomach, but she knew this was a necessary step. Moments later, the door creaked open, revealing a woman in her 30s, her expression a mixture of surprise and caution. "Lisa, is that you?" "Hi, Mia. It's been a long time," Lisa replied, her voice steady despite the flutter of emotions. "I know this is unexpected, but we need to talk. It's about Cora." Mia's face fell, the mention of Cora clearly evoking a flood of memories, both painful and unresolved. "I thought you were done with all of that," she said softly, her eyes darting around as if searching for an escape. "We're not done, we found something," Lisa urged, her determination shining through. "We need your help to understand what happened to her." After a moment of hesitation, Mia stepped aside, allowing them inside. The living room was adorned with family photos, yet there was a palpable sense of loss in the air. Lisa could almost feel Cora's absence in the room. Once seated, Lisa wasted no time. Did Cora mention anyone specific in the months leading up to her disappearance? Anyone she was close to or acting differently? Mia's expression shifted, a shadow crossing her face. "There was someone, but I don't want to talk about it. It's complicated." Travis leaned forward, sensing the gravity of the moment. "Complicated how?" "We need to know, Mia. This could lead us to the truth." Mia hesitated, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. "Cora started hanging out with a different crowd. They were older and I didn't like it. She seemed different. I tried to talk to her, but she brushed me off." "Different how?" Lisa pressed, her voice laced with urgency. Mia took a deep breath, her eyes welling with tears. "She got involved with a guy named Derek. He was dangerous. I didn't trust him." Cora didn't listen, though. She thought she was in love. Lisa exchanged a glance with Travis, the name ringing alarm bells in her mind. "What happened with Derek?" Mia's voice dropped to a whisper. "I don't know exactly, but there were rumors, things about him, things that made me worry. When Cora vanished, I always thought he had something to do with it." Travis's heart raced at the new lead. "Did you ever meet him? Do you have a way to contact him?" Mia shook her head vigorously. "I never met him. Cora was secretive about him, and after she disappeared, I wanted nothing to do with it. You don't understand how much I regret that." Lisa leaned closer, her heart pounding as she tried to connect the dots. "Mia, if you can remember anything else, it's important. We need to find him." Just then, a phone buzzed, interrupting the tension. Mia glanced at her phone, her face draining of color. "It's him," she gasped, the name on the screen stirring fear within her. Mia's hand trembled as she looked from the phone to Lisa and Travis. "I can't talk to him, I can't." "Do you think he knows something about Cora?" Travis asked, his voice low and steady. Mia shook her head violently. "I don't know, but if he's still involved, it could be dangerous." Lisa felt the weight of their quest pressing down on them. This was a pivotal moment, a thread that could unravel everything they believed. "We need to confront him," she said, her voice steady despite the uncertainty swirling around them. "If he holds the key to the truth, we have to go after him." As they left Mia's house, the night air felt charged with new urgency. Lisa's mind raced with the implications of what they had learned. The truth was within reach, yet it was cloaked in shadows and danger. In the days to come, they would have to gather courage, for what they were about to uncover would challenge everything they thought they knew. The deeper they delved into Cora's life, the more they would realize that some secrets are buried for a reason, and the uncovering of those secrets might ignite forces they were not prepared to face. The following days were a blur of uncertainty and tension for Mia, Lisa, and Travis. They spent countless hours piecing together Cora's past, retracing her steps through high school, friendships, and the shadowy corners of their small town. Each new detail brought them closer to a confrontation they both dreaded and anticipated. Mia felt the weight of her sister's absence heavier than ever. The laughter and joy they had once shared felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the pain of not knowing. But with every late-night conversation, every search through old yearbooks and social media accounts, a flicker of determination ignited within her. She had come too far to turn back now. The day of the confrontation arrived, shrouded in an ominous cloud of unease. They had arranged to meet Coach Roberts at a local diner, a place that felt oddly familiar, yet foreign under the circumstances. The walls echoed with the sounds of clattering dishes and hushed conversations, but for Mia, the world outside faded away as she focused on the task at hand. As they approached the booth where the coach sat, an uneasy silence settled over the trio. His face was etched with lines of age and wear, yet there was an unmistakable tension in his posture. Mia swallowed hard, searching for the right words, but they felt lodged in her throat. "Coach," Lisa began, her voice steady, "we need to talk about Cora." The coach's eyes narrowed, a flicker of recognition igniting a defensive fire within him. "Cora? It's been years since anyone mentioned her name to me." Mia leaned in closer, her heart racing. "We found something. Your jacket from that night. Why was it in your attic?" A shadow passed over Coach Roberts' face. "That was a long time ago. I had forgotten about it." "But it was important enough for you to keep," Travis interjected, his voice firm. "What really happened?" The coach shifted uncomfortably, his gaze darting to the window as if searching for an escape. "Look, I didn't know her that well. She was just a player. I don't have answers." Mia felt a surge of frustration mixed with fear. His evasiveness only fueled her resolve. "You were the last adult with her that night. There must be something you remember." The coach's expression hardened, a wall rising between them. "You think you can just come in here and demand answers after all these years? This isn't a game." The tension in the air crackled, and for a moment, the diner felt suffocating. Mia's mind raced, grappling with the implications of his words. What was he hiding? Just then, the door swung open and a gust of wind swept through the diner, carrying with it an unsettling chill. Mia glanced outside, catching sight of a figure standing in the shadows, watching them intently. "Cora's disappearance was complicated," the coach finally said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "There are things you don't understand, things I couldn't control." Mia's heart pounded. "What do you mean? What are you afraid of?" He hesitated, the weight of his silence pressing down on them. "Some truths are dangerous. You're playing with fire." As he spoke, the figure outside stepped closer, and Mia's breath caught in her throat. She felt the weight of a revelation looming just beyond reach, and with it, the realization that they were no longer just investigating a cold case. They were stepping into a tangled web of secrets, and the danger was only beginning to unfold. Determined to uncover the truth, Mia leaned forward, prepared to push past his defenses. "Then help us understand. We deserve to know what happened to Cora." The coach's eyes darkened, and in that moment, Mia sensed that the confrontation was merely the beginning of a far more dangerous journey. The truth was there, waiting in the shadows, and she was ready to face whatever it took to bring it to light. The coach's gaze shifted, flickering between the dimly lit room and the darkened window. "Understanding comes at a price," he warned, his voice now heavy with an urgency that sent shivers down Mia's spine. "The longer you pursue this, the more dangerous it becomes." Mia felt the tension in the air thicken like a storm brewing on the horizon. "We've already lost 15 years, she insisted, her resolve unyielding. "I can't let fear hold us back any longer. Cora deserves the truth, and so do we." With a reluctant sigh, the coach finally relented. "Fine, but you must be prepared for what you might uncover. Cora wasn't just a student. She was caught in something much bigger than any of us." His words hung in the air, heavy with implications. Mia pressed him further, urging him to recount the events surrounding Cora's disappearance. "What do you mean? What was she involved in?" He hesitated, and for a moment Mia thought he might withdraw into silence again. But then he spoke, revealing a world she had only glimpsed through the cracked lens of their investigation. Cora was close with some of the players, but it went beyond friendship. She was entangled in a network of secrets, secrets that could ruin lives. Mia's mind raced. What kind of secrets? The coach shifted uncomfortably, his eyes darting to the window, as if expecting someone to burst in at any moment. There were rumors about illegal activities, drug dealings, and worse, Cora may have stumbled upon something she shouldn't have. As the reality of his words sank in, a knot tightened in Mia's stomach. You think someone wanted her silenced? The coach nodded slowly, his expression grim. I think she knew too much, and those who operate in the shadows don't take kindly to loose ends. Just then, a loud thud echoed from outside, snapping their attention to the window. The figure that had been lurking in the shadows had vanished, but the atmosphere was charged with an unmistakable tension. We need to leave, the coach said abruptly, urgency flooding his voice. It's not safe here anymore. Mia's heart raced as they quickly gathered their things. The walls felt as if they were closing in, and the implications of what they were about to delve into loomed large. As they stepped outside, the chill of the night settled over them, but it was the uncertainty of what awaited them that sent a chill deeper than the night could provide. With every step toward the unknown, Mia felt the weight of her mission intensify. There was no turning back. As they drove through the darkened streets, a singular thought consumed her. Who was watching, and what were they willing to do to protect the secrets of the past? As the coach's words replayed in her mind, Mia knew the danger was real, and that with each revelation, they were drawing closer to a confrontation that would change everything. The truth was no longer a distant hope. It was an imminent storm, and they were right in its path. As the investigation progressed, the pieces of the puzzle began to fit together. Mia, fueled by an unwavering resolve, confronted those who had once turned a blind eye. The newfound evidence was irrefutable, leading her to those who had long hidden the truth. In a tense standoff, Mia faced the individuals who had played a part in the disappearance of her loved one. Their expressions shifted from arrogance to apprehension as she laid out the evidence, unraveling the facade they had maintained for so long. The truth spilled forth, revealing a tangled web of deceit, betrayal, and hidden lives that had collided in a tragic turn of events. The culprits, once untouchable, were forced to reckon with their actions. Justice, often elusive in such cases, began to take shape. As the authorities were finally compelled to act, Mia felt a bittersweet sense of victory. The long, dark shadow cast by the loss was beginning to lift, and the truth that had been buried for years was finally surfacing. But justice often comes at a price. As the reality of her journey settled in, Mia reflected on the cost of uncovering the truth. While she had sought closure, she also faced the haunting memories of what had been lost. The faces of those who suffered under the weight of silence haunted her as she stood on the precipice of resolution. Through her tireless pursuit, Mia had not only uncovered a grim secret, but had also illuminated the profound theme of resilience in the face of despair. In a world where so many disappear without a trace, her story became a beacon for others, left in the shadows of uncertainty. As she walked away from the confrontation, the weight of loss still heavy on her heart, she understood that the quest for truth is often fraught with pain. Yet it is that very pursuit that can transform despair into hope. Mia's journey reminds us that even in the darkest of times, the light of truth can break through, offering a path toward justice. It prompts us to ask ourselves, how far would we go to uncover the truth about those we love? And in the end, can we truly find peace after the storm?